So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
Crawford took the weight, the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. has voiced his opinion that Canelo Alvarez would not be able to withstand Terence Crawford inside the ring, pointing to the loss of energy, sharpness, and overall vitality that once defined Canelo's performances. He expressed disappointment at how Canelo now looks, questioning why his form appears to have declined at this stage of his career. In contrast, Jones highlighted Crawford's determination, discipline, and elite-level skills. He argued that weight differences will not be the deciding factor, since Crawford's superior technique, timing, and ring intelligence are capable of neutralizing size advantages. According to Jones, going up against someone as precise and relentless as Crawford will put Canelo's current shortcomings on full display, making this fight far riskier than many expect.
It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who, not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tries to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not gonna always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Roy Jones added a warning for Canelo: if he enters the fight too confident, assuming a win over Terence Crawford is guaranteed, he risks being hit with a brutal reality check. Jones emphasized that underestimating Crawford's strategy and abilities could leave Canelo facing a difficult and possibly punishing loss.
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo comes to the dance.
Olympic boxer Omari Jones has openly stated that he believes Terence Crawford will defeat Canelo Alvarez. He explained that Crawford's approach to gaining weight for this fight is very different from the typical method of fighters moving up divisions. Instead of putting on size carelessly, Crawford has followed a carefully planned and precise process. By sticking to the right diet and conditioning, he has added strength without sacrificing speed or agility. Omari praised Crawford's hard work, noting that this preparation makes his chances in the fight stronger and gives him a genuine win-win scenario.
It's the grit, and me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that, like, I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the weight, the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win.
So you don't think Crawford, gain that weight? Because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on.
Jones further pointed out that even though the physical challenge of fighting a larger opponent is real, Crawford's skills, discipline, and determination will help him adapt seamlessly. He noted that Crawford is not simply adding weight for the sake of bulk but is building his body to carry it efficiently without losing the speed, sharpness, and danger he brings to the ring. For Jones, this fight represents a disciplined athlete testing his own limits and proving he can rise to the challenge against one of the most established champions in boxing.
You know, the nutrition, like I said, the training. You know, Crawford, he trains hard, so I feel like, I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know, like we discussed earlier, you know, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Ben Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining a light on me, giving me the TV time.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi has also spoken about Crawford's physical transformation. He observed that Crawford looks much bigger going into this fight but sees this as an advantage rather than a disadvantage. Malignaggi explained that unlike many fighters who lose their quickness and sharpness when moving up in weight, Crawford has managed to add mass without sacrificing the very traits, speed, footwork, and timing that have defined his style.
You know, I mean, listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. You know, Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, you know. So you know, there's times where it affects, and there's times where, you know, I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're going to be sparring with this added weight. You're going to be doing the boxing training with this added weight. So you're going to know how to, you know, maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. You know, I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up and, you know, you get big, and then, you know, you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism, I think you're going to feel it.
According to Malignaggi, Crawford has struck the right balance by gaining the strength and durability to face a naturally bigger man like Canelo while still maintaining the agility that makes him dangerous. He credits Crawford's professionalism and attention to detail in training, pointing out that his physical growth is enhancing his existing skill set instead of diminishing it. In Malignaggi's eyes, Crawford will likely perform at his peak despite the jump in weight, and may even gain an edge from the added power when facing Canelo's aggressive style.
Heavyweight kind of weight. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez, so that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, you know, exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said. You know, you're going to put on weight, you're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself, but as I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym, it just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, you know, all types of crazy numbers just to get people to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be that heavy.
Respected analyst Max Kellerman has broken down the fight from a technical standpoint. He noted that Crawford's jab has become one of the sharpest and most effective weapons in the sport today, fast, precise, and capable of dictating the pace of a fight. While Canelo once had a similarly effective jab early in his career, Kellerman pointed out that its sharpness has declined in recent years. This difference, he said, gives Crawford a clear edge in controlling distance and scoring points. Kellerman also praised Crawford's tactical intelligence, describing him as a fighter who constantly makes adjustments in real time and sees openings that others miss.
First attribute, best jab. Crawford. Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring.
Kellerman contrasted this with Canelo's reliance on size, strength, and power, factors that usually allow him to overwhelm smaller opponents. He argued that if Crawford can blunt Canelo's forward pressure and force him into a battle of wits, the advantage swings heavily toward Crawford. In Kellerman's view, this mix of technical precision and fight IQ is Crawford's biggest weapon going into the matchup.
In his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size. Size and, as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult has given a more balanced perspective. He acknowledged Canelo's physical strength, durability, and intense training camps, which have helped him remain dominant for years. Canelo's ability to take punishment, keep applying pressure, and throw sharp counters makes him a threat to any fighter. At the same time, Showbiz praised Crawford's background, pointing out that his early wrestling experience has given him exceptional skills in reading opponents, adapting under fire, and countering tactics, qualities that could serve him well against Canelo.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Alvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Skull. William Skull shook out of it, but he is a bull. Listen, Terence Bud Crawford is strong. He is, okay? And he understands leverage and he understands those things because he wrestled. Honestly, very true. But Saul Canelo Alvarez is also extreme.
One theme has become consistent throughout the boxing world: Crawford's strategy will decide the outcome. Experts insist this isn't just another fight, but a defining moment for Crawford's career, a chance to silence doubters and cement his place among the all-time greats. Defeating a champion like Canelo would elevate his legacy to new heights. To do that, analysts believe Crawford must focus on precision, patience, and adaptability, staying away from reckless exchanges where Canelo's power could be most damaging. The smart game plan, they say, is to control distance, use angles to neutralize Canelo's pressure, and gradually wear him down. In the end, this fight will test mental sharpness just as much as physical ability, and victory will likely go to the one who sticks to their strategy for all 12 rounds.
Understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before, because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just gonna say, well, that's Crawford. You know, so I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. he knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you know, you got to work his way up to the dog. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so this is, I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, is that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
It feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used a big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore.
You
what
need big words to get out of fights. You know, you need big words to get out of fights. But you know, okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford-Spence press conference. And there was this look, when Terence, he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Qawi, a young George Foreman.
Super middleweight contender Edgar Berlanga has also weighed in, offering advice for Crawford. He urged him not to abandon the style that has brought him success, warning against changing too much to account for size differences. Berlanga admitted that moving up 2 weight classes is a massive challenge, but said that in some ways it balances the fight. He believes Crawford's skills, adaptability, and ring IQ will be more important than trying to match Canelo physically. His advice was clear: stick to clean execution, discipline, and composure under pressure. Berlanga also stressed that regardless of the outcome, Crawford is showing the mindset of a true champion by daring to take on such a dangerous fight. For him, this courage is what separates the greats from the rest.
First of all, he got to go in there and he just got to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He got to go in there. I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford, you know, show his IQ, show him why he's a 2-time undisputed, you know, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. You know, there's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. You know, that could be a difference in the fight. You know, because obviously, you know, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a foot of power. I'm a foot of that size difference, you know, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, you know, we'll just all know that, hey, you know, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not, he can't really, he's testing himself. He's putting himself, testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him, you know, I don't got no doubt in my mind. You know, he's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, you know, and I don't think nothing's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size, and you know, obviously the power, and Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys, you know. So I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Legendary trainer and commentator Teddy Atlas summed it up simply but powerfully. He believes Terence Crawford is special. Atlas sees in Crawford a rare combination of physical tools, technical mastery, and mental toughness that allows him to shine when the stakes are at their highest. He stressed that greatness is not just talent, but the ability to deliver in the biggest moments, and Crawford has shown that quality again and again throughout his career. For Atlas, this fight is another chance for Crawford to display his greatness on the sport's grandest stage.
Maybe he's a little overrated. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? You know, but those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for more updates. Until next time.